expose us so badly, because it is so serious that it has to be everybody's business now. You know, it should be part of our primary school curriculum, be part of our secondary school curriculum, and then measures, like having green areas and even our farming methods are all things we need to recalibrate to adjust ourselves as a people that are prone to erosion.
The idea is to help to step in, ameliorate the consequences of gully erosion. States are required to provide counterpart funding, and the World Bank will provide the funds, the seed money that will be repaid over a period of time. And so NEWMAP is the vehicle for the execution of these projects.
Attempts at all tiers of government to prevent or rehabilitate gullies have been generally unsuccessful owing to the following: unclear and overlapping mandate of federal and state institutions responsible for erosion prevention and management and catchment management, weak regulatory compliance and enforcement, insufficient attention to alternative livelihood issues, weak community involvement in prevention and restoration activities, etc. However, the coming of NEWMAP has helped to address these issues by investing in public environmental goods, improving institutional performance, governance, and multi-sector coordination and information access.
NEWMAP is an acronym. It stands for Nigeria Erosion and Watershed Management Project. It's a World Bank intervention or World Bank assisted project. It is state-owned and state-led, and the investments and participation is at the state level. We have support from the World Bank and the federal government. And initially there were 7 participating states, mainly the 5 in the southeast, with the Cross River and Edo. But today we're about 20 states that are involved. A steep slope definitely means that there'll be greater runoff. It also means that as the runoff is going to gather more momentum, it will gather more speed. And in most areas where you've seen erosion menace, some of these factors are very, very obvious. Very rugged terrain, steep slope, and maybe erosion which begins ordinarily as sheet erosion, and maybe real with very tiny rivulets and lines, and then unattended, they begin to expand, and then we have gullies emerging out of them. So our nature, the nature of our topography here, contributes to a very large extent.
These activities NEWMAP do are community-based. So you're dealing with human beings, you're dealing with people who are directly or indirectly affected by gully erosion. So we do a lot of community sensitization, we do a lot of relating with them, pass across the message of what you want to do, and at the same time know what they feel. Get to understand the way the community operates, their culture, their beliefs, and everything that has to do with them, so that when you're involved fully in solving the erosion problem or tackling the erosion, the gully erosion challenge, you'll be able to do it without much problem, and at the same time get them highly involved, because such projects are theirs. When you sensitize them, you get them to know what you want to do, and the course of sensitizing them, there's a cross-fertilization of ideas to tell you what has happened to them, what they expect to be done, and you at the same time tell them what you want to do. So there's actually a building up of a relationship, and that's where you talk about setting up committees, the site committees. You talk about setting up grievance redress mechanism, trying to set up committees that will tackle their grievances. You set up committees that will be a kind of medium when you want to get to the community, because you don't just enter into communities. You talk about traditional rulers, you talk about youth leaders, you talk about the community heads, the women leaders. These are people you get involved. They'll be on ground to be the medium between you and such people. Also The World Bank through NEWMAP works with the focal NGO. The focal NGO are more like the foot soldiers you use, to get to these people. So the communication officer or the communication unit works hand in hand with the focal NGO, and the social livelihood officer, who is embedded the responsibility of taking care of the social activities that you want to meet out to these people.
Establishing replicable investment models and institutional solutions that can be scaled up inside and outside the project.
We have categories, of procurement. We have civil works. We have goods. We have consulting services. And then we have non-consulting services. In all these categories, we have what defines it. For instance, in goods, we have what we call technical specification. On preparing technical specification, we ensure that what we want is what we specify. In terms of consultancy, we have what we call TOR, terms of reference. In preparing the terms of reference, we make sure that what we want is what we have there. Then, in the case of civil works, we have the technical drawing, or what you call the design. From that point also, we have what we actually want. So by this, we get what we want. And when the contract is awarded, we follow it. We follow the contractor. That's what we call contract management. So we follow the contractor to ensure that the contractor delivers as per specified.
The mission of NEWMAP is to address on a multi-dimensional scale the menace of gully erosion in the southeast, as well as land degradation in the north, thereby reducing vulnerability to soil erosion in targeted subcatchment. To achieve the above, NEWMAP, via its project components of erosion and watershed management infrastructure investment, has delivered impactful livelihood support to the needs of victims affected by gully erosion.
So we have touched two paths in Ambodachara, and we have CIGs, like 13 CIGs in that community. We have in Amuzuku, we have 12 CIG groups, and we have touched 14 paths, and we have additional ones, additional compensation we are going to do in that site. In Umogele, we have touched more than 50. We have compensated more than 50.
Here is Amuda Achara Erosion Corridor. It's under Munochi local government of Abia State. When they find erosion site, there's a road that leads to the next community. For some time now, they have been cut off, business activity have been halted, all of that. And so World Bank, in collaboration with NEWMAP and other stakeholders, felt it necessary that the site should be taken into consideration. It met the criteria and the project is on. If you have been to the site, they see some engineers are there working in the construction activities are going on there. That is just a subcomponent of the entire NEWMAP package. We are handling the component called livelihood option, providing livelihood for the community people who are affected by the erosion. Like I said earlier, the idea is that if we empower them, build a capacity through training, establishing cooperative like what we're having here, it will enable them, they will have other source of income that they can fall back on. If we reduce the pressure on land by providing these facilities, in the course of time, erosion issues will minimize.
The main reason why we engage in this is to make our livelihood from here and at least sustain ourselves. And for those of us who have interest in agriculture, who can as well learn more from the practice, how to go about it, so that tomorrow, if peradventure you have your own money and you want to go into agribusiness, with the experience we have here, we can use it to go ahead.
They were so good and so good to such people. They followed us, monitored us till this thing was like this. Without them following us, some of us would have gone with the money or done other, but these people followed us all day, every day, like this such. Seeing, just making sure that this thing is like this time.
Because at least I can say about it when they go in here. I call when I hear me her to tie in a banana town when I email. So be the more tough for me. Mandina represents Hannah Boniqua. That's how just quick and order. A mamma no didn't have a route with the madame because government think a kid out of one mother and K before. So most Chineke goes here.
This is Amoda Achara Road. Yeah, it's an erosion site which was handed over to us by NEWMAP. The drain was at around 600. The existing drain here. So we are looking at extending. The road is about 2.1 kilometers. The plan is actually to take the drain from the road, the existing road, because they started at about 200 meters. They didn't start from the road, so we have to join the drain to the road, then also extend it to one nearby stream before Achara village. Okay, the reason actually is to divert the whole water coming from the road, channel it to that stream so that it can flow. We fill the side of the road, then we'll camber it down to the drain. Then maybe the rainwater that is coming on top might flow down to the drain. Then also we fill the road so that the water on the road will still flow through the drain. But the challenges are majorly the locals, because we've been charged a lot, especially at the borough pit. And the youths, they keep coming, asking for matching ground and the rest, which we've not complied about the matching ground, but the borough pit is our major challenge because we've been paying a lot of money. Okay, we've been here for a month plus. That's a month and 2 weeks.
Ụzọ a o mebichara emebi, ọ dịghị mma. Ide mmiri buru ya mbuze, that is ụmụna olulu, na na-agakwa ya aga. Ugbu a ọ dị etu unu si na-arụ ọrụ dị mma. O gosi na unu ga-arụta ya site n'iti ọwa mmiri. Mmiri ga na-esi na-aga, ụzọ dịrị onwe. Ọrụ unu ebe a dị mma n'anya. Ọ na-egosi na unu ma ihe unu na-eme.
ihu etu ha si na-arụ ọrụ ugbu a dị mma. Ọ na-egosi na ha nwere ebumnobi ọdịnihu ka mma.
In the fact that we are one of the smallest in land area, and factor in the fact that this population of 5 million will double by 2030. And we must not forget the average rent density. Abia is one of the states where the density of rainfall is very, very high, higher than most states in the southeast and south. So we have a combination of elements that contribute and accentuate to this component of this.
From the office of NEWMAP, we create a long list of erosion gullies and requests that we receive. And then we have measurable indices to categorize them according to how severe they are. And when we prepare such a list, we have to revert to government. This project is being financed partly with money borrowed from the World Bank, and the state government is the borrower. So the state government must measure its priorities. So we take this list to the government, and government does that through two bodies that have supervisory role over us. The State Technical Committee, which is the body of permanent secretaries of the ministries that are relevant to our activities, with the head being the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment. So he is the chairman of the State Technical Committee. The Ministry of Works is here, Ministry of Lands and Urban Development, Ministry of Women Affairs, Ministry of Finance, the State Planning Commission, the State Emergency Management Agency. Fine. So at a meeting of the State Technical Committee, they are able to prioritize what we have presented. And after that, it goes to the next layer, the layer of the State Steering Committee, which is a body of the commissioners of this same ministry that I outlined earlier on. Good. And after that, the Commissioner for Environment, who is the chairman of the State Steering Committee, would usually take our prioritization to the governor, who eventually gives his consent. The bank wants to always be sure that what we are doing is what is priority to the state government. And when we prioritize, then we have what we call our engineering design and supervision firm. It's a consulting firm that is saddled with the responsibility of designing our sites and also supervising ongoing jobs. So they get to site to do all the necessary stuff and prepare our designs. We have a federal quality control firm at the federal office that goes through these designs to make sure that they meet world best standard, best practice. And when these designs are cleared at the federal level, they are forwarded to the World Bank.
The policy thought of the government, essentially, is to improve the well-being of its people. Now, World Bank, typical of their procedure and approval process, in my view, it's been slightly cumbersome. Since the inception of NEWMAP here in Abia State, we are presently operating on about 5 sites. But we have about 279 gully erosion sites determined through GIS, Geographic Information System. And if in 4 years, 5 years, we are only doing 5 sites, you can understand the anxiety of the people. And that is why we have gone ahead through our initiative under my leadership, made a presentation to the World Bank that we want to introduce a cluster approach to tackling of erosions, because we find out that erosion, they are incipient gullies, which early intervention has a way of reducing its major impact over a period of time. That is to say, something that can take you 40, 50 million to do today, leaving it in the next 3, 4 years, might cost you about 200 million or 300 million or more. So we have found out that we need to gradually identify all those gullies and incipient gullies found from Abia North down to Abia South and take them in batches. Now we are doing them in clusters. We identified about 30 of them, which the governor has insisted that we should step in to ameliorate as soon as possible. We made a presentation to the World Bank, and they've accepted our presentation and said that we should now handle it through in-country shopping. I identified that there has been a window, really, where projects that fall within the band of $100,000 to $200,000, you can do it under in-country shopping, whereby you do not, all you require is just World Bank no objection for you to advertise locally and get the contractors to move into site.
The $500 million IDA project, which is currently managed by the Nigeria Erosion and Watershed Management Project NEWMAP, has mobilized a strong coalition for national and international level to tackle and reduce soil erosion on a war footing.
And you were erosion gully in our village. And that very erosion gully, when some of the causes of that erosion gully were soil excavation. Some of the youth in Nigeria eguaja la ozo. Ozo do eguaja eme erosion ma this gully patarala anye olo because anye were gully previously okwano due to unemployment. So okay, World Bank embiara here through NEWMAP in conjunction with GRACODEF, the NGO handling this very project. Ndemeba aboma hambo poultry farm, I have poultry farm and God's Will farm. And a bidotara with 150 beds. The time I grew 150 beds, a carton of those very beds, about 12,000 naira. That 12,000 naira contained 50 pieces. So we started with say 150 pieces. By November this year, that was 3 months back. By November this year, the cost of that very carton of bed with 12,000 naira rise here to 20,000 a carton containing the same 50 beds. So animal expected after our first production of 150 beds, line anime increased to 200. But because of high cost and high cost of feeding, I maintain the same 150 beds. And a cooperative of 10 members, active members. Now where World Bank line give me accommodate 500 beds. But right now, the highest up item 150. So Lambda are also World Bank and Abia State Government. No batarala also enyemaka boost to add through any ego. Tani week go to the full capacity of 500 instead of 150. Meanwhile, the senior woman knew farmers and la ime village and Abia Zoranya share at affordable price or the cheaper than fertilizer. Where ko oru ubuha. When kocha oru ubuha, he may improve soil texture.
Before we moved to this site, there was no road here. Although a road existed, but when the erosion came, it was above 100 meters, the depth. So it now, there's a village here, there's a village up here. This village is known as Umezuku in Isialangwa. This one is in Baosi, same Isialangwa. But it happened that this particular area was cut off. So these people cannot access to this side, these other people cannot access. Even you cannot even go with your bare foot. Whenever you look at what you want to do, you think on the measures to be taken so that you correct or you handle whatever you want to do effectively. If you want to control erosion, definitely you must find a way, you must look for a way to control the runoff